Hello, everyone. I'm Buford MC, and welcome back to another adventure in GregTech New Horizons. Today, I want to try and get these two boilers that we assembled last time up and running. And to do that, we need to essentially automate the production of hootch, which we now know how to make, so we just have to use the vat, and we have to combine it with sugar, and we can use a couple of things, but what we're going to use is the potatoes. So I have already done a lot of setup for this, and there's a little bit more to go before we can get these things online, but I want to finish the job together. So I'm hoping this will be a little bit of a shorter episode because there's not really a whole lot more to do before we can get these things online, but that is the goal, so let's get into it. So let me show you what I have already done to start off, and we'll just start from the beginning of the process. So it all begins up here, where we are now growing some potatoes and some stickweed, and we have our little crop manager here, which is set to harvest these at basically the earliest point that it can. For the stickweed, it's at size 2 or 4. For the potatoes, I believe it's size 3 or 4, where we'll be able to harvest it. Now, one thing I've noticed is the potatoes, of course, take a little bit longer to grow. Now, I have these at quite high stats in some areas, but the potatoes do take a little bit longer to grow, but the stickweed, just take a look at the speed this stuff is growing at. I've noticed that it's kind of overkill. I mean, I don't need a whole entire row of this because we are getting sugarcane out of this at a just absurd rate. Just look at the speed of this stuff growing. I mean, it's pretty impressive, honestly. So this is where we then store it at. So we have the crop manager here. It's harvesting all of this stuff. So again, it's set to enable the growth basically at the earliest point. We are taking that out from a electrum item pipe, small electrum item pipe, over to these two bales right here, where we are getting sugar canes and potatoes. And you can already see that the sugar canes are getting a lot more than we are potatoes. So the disproportionate amount. So I'm going to have to upgrade these bales so that I can start voiding the excess, because then it will essentially stop the whole system. So that's what we're doing over here. Now, another thing I should also mention on this floor is that we have the super tank, which is connected now to these boilers. I've already done that just in case we accidentally connect our fuel first, but now we have water in these, so there's no real risk of explosion. And this super tank, of course, we already saw is connected to a thirsty tank, which is back there. So that is what we have there. Now we can go down our little elevator here, and this is where we have the rest of the setup for what we need to do. Now, I've done some stuff already, like I said, but we still need to finish it off. So this is where we are making the hootch over here in this kind of a mess over here. So what we're doing is we have water coming in over from here. This is also connected from the thirsty tank over there. And that is connected over to here into a low voltage fluid tank, which we take down here, which is connected to these vats, because we do need water as well in order to get some of the hooch made up. And the other things we're also taking down here is we have the sugar canes and potatoes. So the sugar cane needs to be taken down into a macerator, which is being turned into sugar. And then the other barrel, which has the potatoes in it, is just being taken directly down into the vats, which is also connected here and is taking out sugar. So we are getting sugar and the potatoes into these vats over here. And the power, I should also mention, is basically the same setup we had last time. We're connecting a steam turbine to a capacitor bank. All of this, by the way, is being run off of a single basic steam turbine. So this is very cheap on power, I would say, to set all this up. And then for these vats over here, I've got a capacitor bank, and I'm just using some energy conduits underneath. So that is essentially where we're at. We've gotten to the point where we're producing hooch, and I now need to move the hooch over to this super tank here, and then we need to go ahead and distribute the hooch into our boilers here and get them online. And then, of course, we need to extract the steam and basically loop it back over to here, so that this can be a closed circuit. And then, of course, we'll also have another chain for the steam to go into the base, which is what this new tunnel over here is for. That takes us into our little basement area over here. Now, I'm not going to do that part today because once we actually get these things online, it does take time for them to actually get to the maximum power of steam they'll produce, essentially. So I think it says on the wiki it'll be like 4.5 hours in game time, that is. So it's going to take a while once we set these things up for us to actually see the results, but we'll get there eventually. So that's why I want to get these things set up as soon as possible. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is we need to extract the hooch from the vats, get them into this super tank over here. So all we should have to do is just connect some pipes like this. Oh, I need to change the mode on that, don't I? Yeah, I had that in line mode. We need to do something like this, I think will work. And because these are Ender.io machines, I don't think we're actually going to need... Let me actually do that first. There we go. I don't think we're actually going to need to use pumps or anything to get this stuff out, because I think these can auto-output. So we're going to put that in like so, and then I think if we come here, we can configure this. And I think we want to use this side. Right-click to push, and it is taking the hooch out. Lovely. We'll do the same thing with you. We'll go to the pipe on the back, push, and the hooch is coming into here. Perfect. And these things are coming back online now that the hooch is starting to empty out. Now, I will also point out this is one other issue we may run into, which is the noise of this thirsty tank, which makes a kind of annoying noise, you know. It can be annoying because, of course, every time it gets water, it's going to make that noise. So I've actually been looking into making a sound muffler right here. We might actually go ahead and make this. So basically what this does is it will reduce any sound made in an 8-block radius by 90%, enabling you to get some much-needed peace and quiet. So I might actually do that just to quiet that thing down. I'll put it somewhere around there, but we might make that in a bit. It's not terrible. It's mostly wool, but then you need a note block, which isn't really too bad. The hardest part's actually this block update detect item, which needs a sticky piston and a detector empty, which is... not too bad. Weighted pressure plate, heavy, red alloy plate, stone bricks. We might go ahead and make that, actually. But I want to get these things up and running first. So let's go ahead and continue on now. So what I can probably do now is probably go ahead and close this off. Since all that seems to be online, it is nighttime, so let's go to sleep here quick. Alright, there we go. So now what we want to do is we want to get the hooch into here, and then these things are basically going to be online, I think. So let's go ahead. We'll use the small pot and pipe, since I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, to be honest. Do we want to send this up? Well, can we send this up, actually? That's a good question. I don't know if you can go up with a super tank. Let me go ahead and test that first. Yes, you can go up with a super tank. You just don't see the little dot thing there. So let's go ahead then, and we're going to drag this pipe up. Basically, I think like this is what we're going to do. Bring that along. And I want to get this basically even, I think, with these. Basically where the elevator is, that'll work. Go ahead and use line mode, I think, as well, to do the arrows faster. Perfect. And now we're going to want to bring this thing along here, and then we'll hook these up. And we should just do something like this. Okay, I think we're just about there. So this has water in it. Let's just confirm that. Alright, it's getting hooch. It is turning on. Perfect. That is good. Do the same with this one. And I just saw it. It's getting hooch. Perfect. Right, we're getting there. So let's go ahead and add these arrows to you as well now. That top one, that's the toughest one right there. There we go, got that. I know I don't have to put the arrows on all of them, but I usually like to. Just so I know for sure where everything's going as well. Oh, that wasn't it. Yeah, that works. And just a couple more right here. There we go. So these things should actually be on then. Looks like they are. They're full of hooch, and they're heating up. And this is the part that is going to take a while, actually. So these things are going to take a long time to fully heat up. And I think it's going to be like 100... I think it was 100 degrees Celsius, then they'll start producing steam. Now, I believe compared to the low-pressure ones, these have a maximum temperature of 1,000 degrees Celsius. I think the low-pressure ones actually go up to 500. We can actually go check. Yeah, let's go check quickly downstairs and see. But I'm pretty sure those max out at a 500. And the high-pressure ones, I believe, will go up to 1,000. Yep, so 500 is what that one has. Now, one thing I will have to keep an eye on, though, is the water consumption. Now, that will continue to increase as it heats up, so I won't know at first how we're doing on water, but I also do have a pretty big buffer because of the super tank here, so we should be okay with that, I think. And again, keep in mind, we are using water to produce the hooch in here, so that's quite good. So I'm quite happy with that then. So these are going to take a little bit of time, I think, to heat up, but what we also need to think about is how we're going to get the steam out. Now, I don't actually know if we can get steam out of these things from the side. I would imagine we can. Because what I'm envisioning is this hole right here, we're going to have steam coming out from both of these, and we're going to have a pipe that goes down under. And then from there, it's either going to go forward into there, which will take it into the base, and we'll have a secondary connection now take it over here. So again, we have that closed loop. So that's what I'm envisioning there. And how we're going to move this steam, because it's going to be quite a bit, is I have made up some large dark steel fluid pipes, which hold 55,680 liters of steam per second. They're quite good. But to get these out, we're also going to need to make the steam valve from MV, because these things produce a lot of steam, I think. I think at max power, it's like 28,000. And even the LV steam valve wouldn't be enough, so we need to make the NV steam valve. So we actually should probably go ahead and make that. How are we doing on temperature? Yeah, 41, 40, so we'll get there. And how are we doing also on hooch at the moment? So it is going to drain at first because I had to fill in these pipes and also fill in these boilers. I was told that 2 of these should be enough. So we'll see, but we are constantly producing. Again, I also have to keep an eye on the potatoes. Sugarcane, there's no way we'll run out, although this is going up, I think. So potatoes might be okay as well, but I was hoping to add more potatoes. It's just, I didn't realize just how fast we were going to get sugarcane from stickweed like this. I mean, this is just crazy. So, look at that, 24 stacks. And that's not counting the stuff I've already processed. So, it's pretty crazy. So let's go ahead then and head back into the base for a bit, and let's do a little bit of crafting, because I do want to try and make the sound muffler so we can quiet down that thirsty tank a bit. And then also we need to make these steam valves, and then we can go ahead and check on the boilers, see what the temperature's like. So let's go after the sound muffler first, since I think that one's actually going to be the harder of the two. Well, actually, let's do the steam valve, because that'll take, well, that doesn't take too long. Just need a pump, motor, and 2 aluminum gears. So I think that's actually quite easy. We will need 2 of them. So 2 motors, 2 pumps, and we do need some aluminum gears, which I believe we can now make in the extruder. I think it's 4 ingots apiece. Let's go take a look. I believe it is. Let's put you there. There's the gear. And it is. Perfect. So that will work. We'll let that go. And then while we're waiting for that, we'll go for the sound muffler. So no block. Looks fairly simple. Wool, I know I've got somewhere. Alright, we do need iron bars. Do I have any in here? Iron bars. Probably not. I would imagine if I had iron bars, I'd put them in there. So we might need to make some iron bars, which is, again, 3 iron rods and an assembler. Pretty simple. Do I have any iron rods? That's an even better question. Right, I don't think we do, so let's actually make some, then put some of these into the lathe. In fact, not the lathe, we'll use the extruder. Because that's even better. And in fact, actually, I have iron rods in here. We don't even need, well, we probably can make some. Why not? Let's go ahead and make some iron rods. Always better to have more. Right, so that is going to be the aluminum gears, and we do, I believe, for this to be made, we do need the MV assembler, so we'll pop you in there. Do we need a circuit? Circuit 5. That will give us the steam valve, MV. So that's what we need there. Here's the iron rods, which we can make, I believe, in the LV one. Circuit 3. That'll give us some iron bars. Does take 15 seconds, though. So that is going to be that. Wood gear. Do we have a wood gear? It looks like we do. We do need red alloy rod. I remember that takes a long time to make, so we're just going to do it with the old-fashioned way, I think. And that should be everything we need, actually, for that note block, then. There's some iron bars. And that is a note block. I don't think we've ever made one of those, honestly. Maybe we did. But I don't think we did, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I know, actually, I have a little jukebox here, because I have some music discs, so I just put it in here, just because it was nice. But I don't think you need a note block to make a jukebox. Let me just check. Oh, no, you do, so I guess I have made that before. Never mind. Right, so we got the note block, and now what I want to get is this block update detector, which is the hardest part of this is going to be the weighted pressure plate heavy, because you do need steel spring, iron plate. That's not too bad. So we do need some red alloy plates. We'll go ahead and make you. The steel spring, if I remember correctly, the springs are made a little bit differently from other stuff, because if I recall, that one is the long steel rod in a bending machine, right? And that has to be made in a forge hammer. So that's a forming press. There we go. We'll just grab you and put you into a bending machine, which is actually currently being occupied by a red alloy ingot. So, well, it'll all come through eventually. Right, what else do we need? So we need to get the iron plates. That's pretty simple. Right, so we got all that. Right, well, we're waiting for those. Let's go quickly take a look down here. See how the temperature's doing. Okay, 75, so we're not that far away, because once that thing starts producing steam, we'll be able to at least start testing out the pipes with that. We can start adding that part to it. I just want to make sure I know what I'm doing before I actually put the pipes in. Right, so red alloy plates, and there's our steel spring. And we will go ahead, and I believe it was another assembling machine. Yep. And that, in 5 seconds, is going to give us something. I already forgot. The pressure plate. Right, that's what we're looking for. We also need stone bricks, which I believe would be down here if we had any. Stone bricks. Well, I know one way to get them. We just need to grab the chisel. I believe it's just a matter of doing this. Stone bricks. Perfect. Right, let's go to sleep here. It is nighttime. Alright, let's go ahead and head over here and try and craft this thing. Do we have everything we need? Yes, we do. It does give us 4 of them, interestingly. So I guess the others can go in here. That's fine. And then we need the block update detector, which needs a sticky piston. I know I've got those. 15 of them, in fact. Because when you fight a lot of infernals, you do tend to get pistons a lot. So no circuit needed for that. And that will take 10 seconds, right? So we'll get that in, and then I believe we just have to craft it. We do need wool, though, so do I have wool in here? Where would I have wool at? Wool. Okay, we do have some in there. Only 3, though. Right. Do we have wool anywhere else? I would imagine maybe over here? No, no wool there. No, that's not it. I want just normal wool. That's better. Okay, we do have some. 7! Perfect. That's all we need. There's the block detector up. What was that called? Block update detector. Not the block detector. The block update detector. And then we can make the sound muffler. And that is the sound muffler. Right, so we got that in. So let's go ahead and test this thing out then. So, how are we doing here? Yep, that thing's still making noise. We're about at 100 there. I'm not going to put it in here, I don't think. What I'll do is I'll just put it... I don't know, maybe right here? Oh yeah, that is way better. Now, it will do it in an 8-block radius, but that doesn't really change too much, I don't think. You can even hear it affect my footsteps when I walk by here. That's just a nice little upgrade right there. I don't think it matters too much in that area what we're hearing. Might affect a little bit of this area, but I can already tell you that's a lot better. Right, so we're just about to get to 100 there, so... we will be able to check on that in a bit. But before we do that, actually, I do want to mention one other thing that I've been using. We made this right here last time, the Advanced Fluid Extractor, and there's a couple of pretty good uses for this thing that I've noticed recently. One of them was actually the redstone alloy, which I want to try that out quickly as well, but I also want to mention that we can now get glass straight from sand. So if you grab some sand and put it into this thing, it will now run this recipe here, which is going to, if I can find it in here. Nope, not that. Fluid extractor, there we go. 48 EU a tick, and in 10 seconds you will get 144 liters of molten glass. So that is quite good, I would say. And yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So that's how we're now able to get molten glass. A lot easier now, so that's a pretty nice thing. But there is another one, though, and that other one is regarding the redstone alloy, because now that we have some of these ingots, I've been prepping them up, we can now start making our vacuum tubes way more efficiently. So we've been using this recipe right here, which was to use the red alloy with the steel rods, anneal copper wire, and the glass tubes. Now we can use the redstone alloy, which gives us double the amount. 16, that is a huge upgrade in my opinion. Do we have any of the glass tubes? Doesn't look like we have any spare right now. Actually, no, I think we do, because I know we have some glass dust down here we can quickly pick up. Yep, there we go. Bring that up here. And if I use the alloy smelter, I believe, with the... I think we needed the ball mold. Put that in. That will start giving us glass tubes. Right, and then what else we can also do is, if I grabbed a stack of this redstone alloy ingots... Now, this has to finish as well, but... and I also have to get that out. So let me grab a cell. It says molten glass in it. And put you in. We can extract the redstone alloy. Right, so that's good. And I can grab you to basically transfer you over. Put that molten glass back in. We also had some polyethylene disassembling machine. There's a reason for that, actually. I was working on a quest, this one right here, to make these different conduits from Ender.io. So, you just have to use some of the different things from Ender.io. This one needs pulsating iron, a small electron. They all need polyethylene, but you do need an MV assembler. The fluid one needs electrical steel and copper fluid pipes. The energy conduit, which I didn't have to make because we already had some of them, but that uses the conductive iron and gold wire, interestingly. And there's also the redstone one, which I'm really not quite sure what it does. I guess some redstone-related stuff, but redstone alloy plate and red alloy wire. That can be a little bit confusing. I thought at first it was the redstone alloy wire, but no, it's red alloy wire and the redstone alloy plate. So that one's a little bit confusing, although that one actually doesn't need polyethylene. So I did that quest recently. That's why we had that polyethylene in there. And this is already finished. Perfect. And it is a little bit more than this cell can handle. So let's grab a second one. And the glass back in here. Not glass, sand. It makes the glass. Right, so now what I can do is I'm going to need to grab more cells so we can get the red alloy out. And we really won't need this anymore, so I can probably turn this stuff back into ingots again. But what I can do now is I can go ahead and put you in. Is the circuit any different on this? I don't think it is. It's always 5, right? So we put those in. And I guess we can test it out. I know we have some extra, let's see, glass tubes. And if we put this in, that starts working. Does use some redstone alloy, and if everything I've calculated is right here, all that, basically, 1 stack of these is going to give us, I think, 4 stacks of vacuum tubes now, if my calculations here are correct. So that is a pretty big upgrade, I would say. So yeah, that's how we're apparently going to be able to make vacuum tubes now. Pretty good upgrade. Right, so I think everything should be ready to go now in the other area. We should be producing steam. Go take a look. Let's go check on everything else as well. Ah, so the potatoes have dropped a little bit then. So I might have to add more potatoes. We'll see. It might be in the pipes, though, still a little bit, too. Not sure. The hooch, though, is going up. That's good. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on the potatoes. Sugarcane won't have an issue. I already know that. Right, so we are getting steam, and we have a lot of steam. Right, wow. These things already maxed out. So what we can do now is we can go ahead and we can start getting that stuff out. So what we need to do is basically what I envision is just putting it here. Something like this should work. Oh, it already takes it out. Really? It does that? And here I was thinking we were going to need those things, which I didn't even pick them up, actually, did I? The steam valves. Right. Now, that's news to me, actually, because I remember we had to use those for the other ones, because... Let me just test one more thing. If I put a pipe on top... No, it takes it out. That's really interesting, because I swear with the low... With the, what was they called? Low-pressure ones, that they did not do that. But here they seem to be, and they're quite fast as well. Right. Well, that's interesting news to me. So, what we're going to do is just carry on and drag this thing down. I do quite like the look of these pipes, actually. The dark steel ones are quite cool. Also, something else I also want to mention is that I've noticed that now that we have the little pigment backpack, we have 5 resistance, we don't actually burn when we touch the hot pipes anymore. That's actually another added bonus of having that backpack. So, you never burn anymore when you touch hot pipes. Right, so I don't want to bring it down that far. Well, actually, no, I do, because I have to get it out, so... In fact, I'll probably need to go even lower than that. Well, I might actually put it into the ceiling. That might be what I do. But we also need to drag it along here. So, how are we going to do this? We do need to add the little directional arrows as well. So, yeah, I'll probably do something like that. Ooh, I don't want to do that. Got to make sure you have the arrows facing the right direction. Make sure that's facing the right way. Looks like it is. Yeah, that's good. And then we'll drag you along like this. Probably don't need these big giant ones. I might make these smaller later on. But one thing I will do is I'm actually going to remove the super tank because I really don't think we need it now. So I'm just going to avoid all the extra steam in here because I just don't think we need a super tank sitting there full of steam. That was kind of just a temporary measure to get us started. So that will just feed that, and that should keep everything running like that. So that is going to be quite good. We also grab a tail wart so we can get rid of these negative effects. It is actually nighttime, so we might be able to just sleep them away. That'll be even better. Save on the tail wart. Right, there we go. Put that back. And let's just get the rest of these little arrows added on. I could probably use the line mode to speed that up. And yeah, I'm not going to pump this thing into the base yet because I haven't actually sorted out how I'm going to do that. And it is going to take a while for this thing to max out, I would say. But yeah, that is that. And yeah, these things are going to be full for now. But they're still going to heat up, so... That is essentially going to keep it fed continuously, though, and that's the important thing. So now what I can do is I can start keeping an eye on it. Hooch is going up, though, 64 buckets, so it is keeping up with the hooch at least. The potatoes, yeah, those are dropping. So what I'll have to do, I still have plenty of room to add more potatoes, so that's not an issue. Again, the sugarcane, I just don't need more stickweed here. I really don't. This is more than fast enough. I was going to fill the whole thing up, but then I was like... At the speed these things are growing, there's just no point. Potatoes, though, probably there will be a point, so I will have to add more, but I'll get on that. But yeah, I think these things are up and running. Again, as long as these things are continuously fed hooch enough, we will be okay. How's the water looking? Yep, that's staying maxed out, so that's a good sign. We're not running into any water issues, but the amount of water this thing pulls, I think, will increase as... Of course, it heats up. Same with the hooch, I believe. So we'll figure that stuff out. But yeah, so that's interesting then. We didn't actually need the steam valves for this. I really thought we did. I mean, I swear we used them when we made the low pressure ones. So that is interesting, because they're over here, I believe. I made them. Yep, there they are. Right. Well, it turns out you don't need them then. But yeah, so I just wanted to make that one be a little bit of a short episode just to try and get that set up. I really wanted to get that set up. Now, one other thing we actually should do is, this is normally the part where we would open up a loot bag, but I haven't actually got any loot bags, so we want to try and do a quick quest, try and pick up a loot bag. Is there anything available to us? Well, actually, no, there is a quest that I think we can do pretty easily. It was down in the... We gotta kill all the things quest. That was from killing Enderman. That's not gonna give us much. Just a quarter heart and some coins. Although, actually, we actually can get a new heart from that. Because I just got 4 hearts, so we can turn in this one again. That's another red heart canister. Where do I put that on? I think it was here, right? We now have 8 of those. Hey, so there we go. It's an extra heart added on, so that's at least something. But the quest that I think we can get done at least pretty easily was in the Without Dying tab. It was this one right here. The dark armor. We needed dark steel. It's basically just dark steel. It's very easy to make that, and it will give us an MV loot bag. So let's do that then. And then I think we'll call it an episode. We do need dark steel plates, though. Was I think 24 it said, right? It's usually 24 for armor, I believe. We'll go ahead and put that in. And dark steel is quite fast to make inside a vending machine, so that's not bad at all. Put that back. And again, we have so much dark steel. I made a lot more because we needed it for the pipes. I knew we would. But yeah, the plan is, though, while we're waiting for that, the plan is that we're going to try and pump in that steam up into this area. We're going to try and use that to power our MV machines. We're probably going to need to use it to power our blast furnace as well, because we're eventually going to need to upgrade that to MV power. So, well, not MV power, technically it'd be HV power, but we'd have to add MV energy hatches to it, so it would be drawing a lot more power, and it's going to need more steam to run that. Of course, this is all until we switch over the benzene, which is what we're ultimately going to try and do. So there's the dark steel plate. So let's go ahead and just make that armor up. Shouldn't be too hard. Should follow the typical armor rules here. So there's the dark plate. Don't really need this armor. Although I think this stuff can be upgraded a bit. So let's go there. There's the dark helm, and then the dark boots. Dark boots. That should be a quest. There we go. Luke, I'm your father. So, there we go. We got that one done, and we will take the loot bag. Right, so at least we got one loot bag to open up. One is better than nothing. So, well, let's lock these backpacks right here first as well. Alright, here we go. MV loot bag. Oh, we got an elevator. All right, well, we got something worth it. So, free elevator there. Put that way in there for now. And we got something done. So, there we go. So, yeah. I think we're going to head back in here and take a look at how this is going one more time. But it should be going pretty well. Again, we're not going to get all the steam out. I guess I could put down a super tank just to see that it's producing something, I guess. Like, put it there just temporarily. Yep, so it's starting to empty these out. Yep, there we go. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on this, though, but we definitely need to keep an eye, I think, on things like the potatoes and how this thing's kind of extracting stuff. But it seems like everything else is working, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it as these things continue to heat up. It is going to take a while, though, like I said. But yeah, I think that is where we are going to leave this episode. Now, before we end off, I will mention that I am going to be away on a trip for a couple of days, so it will be a little bit longer until the next episode comes out. And I really wanted to get this done before I left as well, so I'm glad we got this done at least, so we'll be able to push on further into the MV age once I come back. But yeah, it is going to be a little bit longer until the next episode. But yeah, that's where we're going to end this episode. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.